back to the channel. We're going to look at the PlayStation 5 version of Dying Light 2. I'm going to look at all of the modes, the quality mode, the resolution mode, and the performance mode, and I'm going to tell you why I think most console gamers, and that's an important distinction to remember, why most console gamers would probably pick the quality mode. So we're starting off here in the quality mode. This is 1080p with ray tracing and a lot of graphical bells and whistles dialed into the game to make the presentation look stellar. Pay attention to the traversal here because it's very important once we get to 60 frames per second, but the foliage, the ray tracing, the real-time shadows, texture quality is better. Just overall level of detail is really high in this mode. And again, the traversal is very smooth and very fluid. It is 30 frames per second, but I am not noticing differences in terms of just playability in this mode. It's very fast, very fluid. So you can actually see the detail changing in real time when you switch these modes before you unpause the game. So we'll go from quality to resolution and pay attention when I go back before I unpause here. So we'll go up, we'll switch to resolution, and you can see right there, everything sort of dial back for resolution, come back into the scene, missing a lot of that detail in the shadows and the textures and just the overall quality that ray tracing adds, and all the other graphical bells and whistles add to it. Take a look at the top image. That is the resolution mode. The bottom is the quality mode. Look at the shadow of the tree on that red brick wall there on the top, drawn in. The bottom, real-time shadow. Look at the grass in the top image in resolution mode versus quality mode at the bottom. Ray traced, tons of detail in that bottom image missing from the top image, but the top image is a higher resolution. It is a dynamic 4K. Better? Yes. I would say no if you're looking for a graphical presentation on console. So what about performance mode? Here we are in resolution mode, and pay attention again once we switch that pause screen. You'll see that detail be dialed back again from resolution mode to performance mode to get that 60 frames per second. Let's go up and we'll switch from resolution to performance, and you can see it all be dialed back. Again, the shadows are much less pronounced, but we are getting a locked 60 frames per second. Now, pay attention to the movement here. It is much faster. It is much more fluid, but it is not game-breaking to play it at 30 frames per second. I'm not noticing that big of a difference while playing it at 30 frames per second. Again, I want to stress that this video is geared towards console gamers, and I've been a console gamer for over 30 years. The PC mindset is 60 frames per second, 1440p, 4K, all the graphical bells and whistles. It's never that. On console, you're never going to get everything, and it's always about graphical presentation from one generation to the next. That's why I think the mindset of dialing out all of the detail in order to get 60 frames per second doesn't make sense for a console gamer. But here we are. The traversal is very smooth, very fluid, 60 frames per second locked. Game still looks really, really good, but that detail, that ray tracing, the ambient occlusion, the shadowing, the real-time shadows, all of that is gone in the scene, and we'll switch back and you'll see the difference. And again, I have another screen coming up that is going to demonstrate that difference in a huge way. And I, for one, don't want to miss that level of detail just to experience one aspect of the game. So let's go from performance back to quality. You'll see everything pop back in right here. Self shadows. Take a look at the top screen. That's resolution mode and performance. And look at the bottom with quality. The detail, the textures, the shadowing, everything missing in the top, but in the bottom. I just don't see stripping out that level of quality for 60 frames per second. And again, the resolution mode is higher, but the image quality is still fantastic in the quality mode versus the resolution mode. So you're getting a higher resolution, but that's not graphics. And resolution has never been something that makes a game great, especially when you're talking about console. It's about presentation. So here we are in quality mode, 1080p, 30 frames per second, ray tracing, better foliage, better shadowing, better texture quality. I think this is the mode that most people who play on console would choose, especially when I'm having zero issue with traversal, with gameplay. Just a fantastic level of quality in this mode. Let's take a look at that grass down there and the shadows. Pay attention to all of that. And we'll switch from quality to resolution. and you'll see the difference. Let's go up. Quality, resolution, level of detail dialed back dramatically. Shadows almost baked in, if you will. And then we'll switch back to quality, and you'll see that ray tracing take effect on that foliage in the image. Pop back in. It's just a better overall presentation, foreground, middle ground, and background. Even though it is a much lower resolution, even though it is much lower frames per second, I think for console gamers, people who've been playing on consoles for a long time, this is the mode that you're going to get the most out of, that you're going to be impressed with the most. And the gameplay is really fast, fluid, and smooth, even at 30 frames per second. No issues here. Platforming, jumping, running, dodging, fighting. Just, I think this is the mode that most people would gravitate towards. However, you do have the option, and that's what this video is all about. If you like the video, think about subscribing to the channel. At the very least, hit that like button. We went through all the modes on the PlayStation 5. This is applicable to the Xbox Series X as well, as it looks the same with all three modes. I just think the detail here in quality mode is staggering, and I'm not willing to give that up for resolution, which I've never seen as the end-all be-all to gaming. And frame rate is fine at 30. The gameplay is fine. I'm having absolutely no issues again. But let me know in the comment section below. What do you think? Do you think that the quality mode here versus the resolution mode would be better? Or the performance mode would be better overall, sacrificing the detail in the presentation and the graphics for smoother gameplay? Again, keep in mind that at 30 frames per second, the gameplay is incredibly smooth. I just don't feel like that trade-off is something I personally would make as someone who doesn't see resolution or frame rate as the end-all be-all to the experience. Especially, again, this is the key distinction. If you're a console gamer, it's always about the presentation. It's always about one generation to the next, the graphical differences. Now, here's a scene that I think highlights what I'm talking about the best. We're going from a performance mode back to quality, and watch in real time in the pause menu as everything is dialed back in from performance. Look at that to quality, the shadowing, the texture quality, just the overall graphical presentation of the scene is much better in the quality mode. And again, I'm not saying that 60 frames per second isn't better than 30, or a higher resolution isn't better than a base 1080p resolution, but I think on console, if you're looking for the presentation, the graphical leap, then I think quality mode is the way to go. Thanks for watching the video. If you liked it, please hit that like button. Maybe think about subscribing to the channel, and I'll see you in the next video.